Okay, what I want to do now. Yeah, into this lesson. Well, not really lesson. I'm gonna talk about fasting and dealing with the basics, dealing with milk. I don't really want to get into anything complicated like wine or meat or anything like that. You know, if you're starting, it's probably best you get a good grasp of the basics rather than trying to talk about things that are beyond your understanding. Like them GMS dudes say, you know, it's better to be, you know, one deep than try to be too deep. You know, if you wanna look here, you see Moses fasted for 40 days, 40 days without food or water. That's 40 ED. You know, 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread or drink water. He wrote the Ten Commandments, the words of the covenant, so on and so forth. If you wanna, you know, obviously you can't type in Yahushua. We have to put in goddamn Jesus. Put Jesus in here. And Jesus also fasted 40 days and 40 nights. You know, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil and fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Obviously, that's without water and without food. I will look up. There was meant to be some Asian dude who fasted, meditating in the sun for 40 days, 40 nights. I don't know if that's real, but I do know uh, Indian guy fasted for 40 days in the jungle, I think. So I don't know whether or not to dry fasted. Yeah, this guy he dry fasted, no food and no water for 40 days.
If you manage a team, you should be using Monday.
Let's see this.
It's a platform to manage any team and any project. Marketing.
All right, so I'm here in Tiruvannamalai in India.
You guys are evil over here, man.
Who is a proponent of dry fasting. Now, dry fasting is when you fast. You don't take any foods, but dry fasting, you don't do any foods or any water and no liquids whatsoever. So it's literally like dry.
So,
now, he says that
if you look into this comment here, it said after 6 medical dry fasts of 13 days each, 24/7, no food or water, my body finally restored thyroid function to a thyroid that was surgically removed in 71. I no longer take the prescribed glandulars. Autophagy is another word for fasting. Autophagy is if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is awesome for self-cleansing and self-healing. Now, obviously, they're just dealing with the spiritual, not the spiritual. They're dealing with the physical and the mental aspects of fasting. They're not really dealing with the spiritual aspects. You know, when you fast, obviously, it's carnal, it's physical, but you're denying your spirit. You know, you're denying yourself of things, and obviously that will, you know, that will cleanse you spiritually from any defilement you have on you from the world. You know. And you have all these comments here. I've dry fasted several times. It feels so good, and it's very possible. I don't know how many days he's talking about, but it does heal the body. You know, I fasted, you know, my first fast, because I had to start from nothing. My first fast was like 36, 40 hours, but I was a water fast. And then I did another fast. It was 24 hours. It was 24 hours. No food, no water, and I had to do another fast after that because, you know, I didn't feel completely right, so I did another fast after that, and that was another 24 hours, and that was no food, no water, and I kind of felt strong on that second fast, but what I'm doing now is I'm gonna build my body back up again. I'm gonna, eat right foods first and foremost. I'm gonna eat right for probably about a week, maybe a week and a bit. I'm gonna try and exercise, gonna try and get my mind and body right, and I'm gonna go for another fast. See whether or not I can push up 24 hours to maybe maybe 36 hours, 48 hours, and I'm gonna try and incrementally push up my fasting times. I think we all have to start slow. You don't want to do anything that's gonna hurt yourself, because at the end of the day, we've been taught so much rubbish. You can't. If you're running in one direction and you turn too fast, you might end up snapping your leg or something. You kind of, you have to ease yourself into stuff, because if you go a bit too fast, you're gonna hurt yourself. But at the same time, it needs to be done. You're not gonna get any level of understanding if you ain't reading the scriptures, if you ain't listening to other brothers, making sure the doctrine is all on the same wavelength, praying and fasting. And that's another aspect that they don't talk about when you're fasting. You have to pray as well. I think the long, and this isn't boastful. This is just to try and give some brothers some inspiration and try to get my mind right, because when you explain, sometimes when you're teaching, that helps you learn what you're talking about. Maybe somebody else can point out where you're doing wrong, because we're all in the flesh. We all sin. No one's perfect. I know for a fact I'm not perfect. So I don't want to sound like I'm more holy than now. I'm just trying to give some advice on what's helped me, kind of get my mind a bit more right. And you have to imagine when Moses and Yahushua were fasting, we lived in a totally different time frame. I mean, now you probably need to eat about 8 oranges to get the same nutritional value as you would do from 1 orange, say back in the day. I mean? The air is a lot more polluted. Food has a lot more nutritional value in it. Sorry, a lot less nutritional value in it. You have a lot more stress. The water's not as clean as it used to. The atmosphere's messed up. So, you have to use a bit of discernment when you're trying to get right. But it has to be done at the end of the day, and you're not really going to get anywhere unless you're fasting, you're praying. And a lot of things that people don't really add into that is eating correctly and exercising, because the Most High dwells in the temple of man. He dwells in your body, so you have to look after your body. You can't be eating chocolate. In my opinion, I don't eat that stuff. The Most High didn't make it. I'm not eating anything He didn't make. Most man-made thing I would probably eat or drinks, probably, wine's probably the most I go. And I open a bottle of wine, I'll probably have it like 2-3 days, and I'll sip it. Don't really get drunk and just lose my train of thought. I don't smoke anymore. I try to stay away from anybody who's not on a certain path. You kind of have to separate yourself away from people who aren't trying to get closer to the Most High, because a lot of people do pay lip service, and that's something I'm going to talk about later, because you may come into the truth and you may not have anybody around you who's necessarily for the truth, which is going to throw you off if you're constantly trying to go around and thinking you can save people. First and foremost, your duty to yourself. Charity starts at home. You are your home. So definitely have to be wary of certain things. But yeah, to start, you need to fast. But before you get into fast, you need to build up your body to be able to fast properly. So you might need to eat properly, exercise, and incrementally push up, your time periods, and don't forget praying, and I don't mean praying for like 5 minutes, try pray for 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. If you can go for half an hour, that's even better. You have to read the word and memorize the word so you can pray properly. If you can go to an hour, if you can pray for 2 hours, I mean, that's great, because you're fully in the spirit, but this is all dealing with basics. You have to deal with basics before you can get to the meat and the bones. You have to deal with the milk, and that's what it is. Following the laws and the commandments, fasting, meditating on scriptures, eating properly when you are eating, and exercising. That's what you should be starting with.